Good morning. I am the honorary chairman of the Lit English Language Institute. News of today's Lit is quotations. Albert Einstein quotations. If you see and explain it to a 6-year-old, you don't understand it yourself. Imagination is more important than knowledge. Knowledge is limited. Imagination encircles the world. Learn from yesterday, live for today, hope for tomorrow. The important thing is not to stop questioning. The difference between genius and stupidity is that genius has its limits. Intellectuals solve problems, geniuses prevent them. It's not that I am so smart, it's just that I stay with problems longer. Most people say that it is the intellect which makes a great scientist. They're wrong, it is character. I have no special talent. I am only passionately curious. The only thing that interferes with my learning is my education. Well, we Lit present. The third topic we offer is the negatives of digital life. There were considerably fewer complaints about the personal impact among these expert respondents. But their own lives and observations give testimony that there are ways in which digital life has ill-served some participants. The following anecdotes speak to the themes that the internet has not helped some users' well-being. Carolyn Heinrich, professor of public policy, education and economics at Vanderbilt University, wrote, "If someone would have told me I was going to spend 10 to 12 hours in front of a computer most days to do my job, I would never have chosen my current occupation. But it seems like most jobs these days require constant computer use. We do everything electronically now: communications, writing, documentation, searching for information, etc. Or filling out a survey like this one. I would much rather be having this conversation via a phone survey than sitting and typing at my computer. Also, we text and email in most of our personal communications now, too, rather than speaking by phone or meeting up in person. I email with a colleague 2 office doors down from me rather than arranging a meeting. The consequence for me physically is that I am sitting too much and I have chronic back and neck pain, as well as tendinitis, from repeated motion and leaning into a computer monitor. I also worry that social media like Facebook, Twitter, etc. are increasing social anxiety and are as destructive as they are potentially beneficial in their facilitation of communications. And we all never seem to get a break. I wake up in the morning and cringe at how many emails I already have waiting for me to attend to, and the need to keep up takes away from my time in more concentrated and potentially productive endeavors." A professor at one of the world's leading technological universities who is well known for several decades of research into human-computer interaction wrote, "For the worst, the ritual of a weekly phone call with friends where there seemed like enough space to talk about things in a meaningful way has eroded to texting to keep up. On the one hand, several of my friends feel more in touch because they are sharing memes. Feel they are sharing witty things on the spot, but there is less going into depth. We don't seem to be able to maintain both. That is what is so curious." David Ellis, Ph.D., course director of the Department of Communication Studies at York University in Toronto, said, "Several years ago I walked into my 4th-year class and, in a fit of pique, announced I was confiscating everyone's phone for the entire 3 hours. I later upped the ante by banning all digital devices in favor of pen and paper. Some unusual revelations have emerged since then, including some happy outcomes from going digital cold turkey. The students in my courses are there to learn about telecom and internet technologies. On the surface, it looks like a perfect match: hyper-connected digital natives acquiring more knowledge about digital. If only. The sad truth is they suffer from a serious behavioral addiction that makes it pretty much impossible for them to pay attention to their instructors or classmates. It also turns out these self-styled digital natives don't know anything more about digital than their elders. At the start of classes, students react with predictable shock and annoyance when I confiscate their phones. Some even drop out rather than suffer the indignity of being offline for an entire class. Yet to pretty much everyone's surprise, redemption comes to almost everyone. Within a month, I get enthused reactions about how good it feels to be phone deprived. Grades go up, along with the quality of class discussion. Some students report this is the first time they've been able to concentrate on the course material. Or it's the only course in which they've learned something. That would be flattering if it weren't such a sad indictment of the state of higher education today, where classrooms have become a wasteland of digital distraction. It's tempting to assume our hyper-connected 20-somethings are the authors of their own fate, and have only themselves to blame for not getting the best from their education. Except it's not that simple. First, students are behaving exactly like the grown-ups in our tech-addled culture, ditching their moment-to-moment social responsibilities for another jab at the screen. Second, the unseemly classroom behavior is a coping strategy for many students, who have to put up with indifferent professors in a pervasive campus culture that casts them in the role of customers rather than learners. And third, they have many enablers, the instructors who see not paying attention as the new normal, the parents who can't bear to be out of touch with their kids for even an hour, and the campus administrators who turn a blind eye because of their own obsession with new technologies as a panacea for every institutional problem. For all their initial resistance, however, depriving students of their devices for 3-hour stretches has turned out to be a remarkably simple and effective solution. There's also good research that students are less effective at learning their course material when they're online and ignoring the instructor. Not to mention studies showing that students learn more and better using pen and paper instead of keyboards and screens. An anonymous respondent wrote, "More access to communication and information hasn't improved lives like we thought it would. In the early years of the internet, it was life-changing to send emails across borders and time zones, to look up encyclopedic answers anytime you had a question, or connect with family far away via social media. Personally, I have stopped using Flickr and Yahoo due to security issues. I have stopped using Facebook because of the unreliable and untrue information shared there, and constant political fighting, and email has grown to a bloated box of messages I really don't enjoy reading anymore. I do enjoy Instagram, and its fictionalized escape from reality via beautiful photography, but I find myself using social media, email and search much less than I used to. There isn't enough novelty to want to Google everything I wonder about in a day. I'd get nothing done. I do work in digital, so I make a living from understanding how this all works, and I am dismayed at the way it has changed over the last 20 years. My son is 4 and he believes TV is always available on demand via YouTube, with supervision. Of course, shopping only happens on Amazon via phone, and FaceTime is how phones always work. He puts his face up to the landline phone like it is a camera. So things have changed and we can't go back to the way it was years ago. I do think searching for medical information has gotten a lot better, more reliable, accurate info, in the last 10 years, and generally leads to more educated and adherent patients if the physician is willing to see the relationship as a partnership. While families use texts to stay connected during their hyper-scheduled busy lives, I think people have lost their ability to focus on the needs of others and really listen to another person because of how self-centric social media really is. Sometimes I think people have lost their ability to communicate in person and have substantial conversations. These one-liners from anonymous respondents hit on a number of different themes. Digital technologies have made it more difficult for me to stay on task and devote sustained attention. This interferes with my work productivity. I can't seem to get my brain to calm down and focus. It is all over the place. I can't concentrate. I just start thinking about what I'm going to do next. Increased isolation is a negative effect I feel in my life. The time I spend using digital technologies could well be spent in other, more creative and productive ways. I am becoming increasingly aware of the way constant access to digital forms of communication can be overwhelming. It has become an ever-present overhang on all aspects of life. There is no escape. The rise of hatred, the manipulation of politics and so on, these are not distant events with no personal impact. Digital life has tipped the balance in favor of John Stuart Mill's low pleasures, and has made engaging in higher-order pleasures more difficult. One major impact is the overall decrease in short-term memory. And what was the question? Real-life relationships are less bearable. Everyone is so much less interesting with the spoiling of technology. Digital technology radically increases expectations for instantaneous responses. This is unhealthy. It has become harder to take your eyes off a screen to enjoy life as it's happening. Technology is being driven by business across all areas for money, money, money. Greed has taken over. Engagement with technology is starting very young, and we don't really know what the impact will be. We don't understand what we can trust anymore. Here are some diverse answers about the ways digital life hurts the lives of some of the expert respondents. Thank you.